So I'm Brett with Mitten State Sports Corner here with Tyrone Wheatley here. How are you, man?
Doing well, and you?
I'm doing pretty well. And he just got done wrapping up a signing up here at the Miller Sports Card Show up here at the Dow Diamond, and we just wanted to talk to him here. And I got a couple questions with you. I saw your podcast. You were talking with Sam Webb just the other day here, and one of the things you guys were talking about was this NIL explosion and this lack of structure. And I wanted to dive in a little bit deeper on that. One of the questions that I have is, had this been a thing in your era, what do you think would be? Would you have stuck in Michigan? What do you think?
Yes, I would have.
You would have stuck. And why is that? Is it just the Michigan way? Is it what would have been the reason you would have stuck around?
Well, I think, it's kind of like taking guys from different eras and putting them in.
And I know it's hard a question to answer.
Right. So, but just kind of thinking about it. First of all, I would have stayed because my grandmother.
Gotcha.
Right. I'll give you a quick story.
Yeah.
I wanted to run track my freshman year, but Bowen Moeller said that I came to Michigan to play football and become a good football player. I was a good athlete, but I wasn't a good football player. And was I a little upset at that criticism?
Sure.
So I was like, let's get the heck up.
He's good.
He's good? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
So you edited it?
I'll cut it out.
Okay, so I was a little upset at the criticism, like I'm not a good football player.
Right.
He's like, yeah, you're not a good football player, but you're a really good athlete, but you're not a good football player. Go to spring football, become a good football player, and then you could run track. So I called my grandmother and it's like, hey, they told me a big lie. They said I'll be able to run track. And she's like, they did tell you could run track, not just this year. And I wanted to leave. And she said, you're not going nowhere.
Right.
You're staying put. And when you give your word, that's your word.
Sure.
And everything easy isn't for you, right? So I think at that moment I would have stayed. I was taught not to base my life on transactions, right? And so Michigan was not a transaction for me. It was transformational, for me to grow as a young man, to education and all those things. So I think I would have stayed.
Yeah,
I would have stayed. Now everybody's talk about money, right? So put your money where your mouth is, Wheat.
Right.
You would have left if someone offered you money. Well, think about it. I was one of the first guys who came back their senior year who gave up the NFL draft, and I was a guaranteed first round draft.
That's a transaction,
right?
Right.
So I stayed at Michigan.
Right.
So that's my point proven. But these young men, I think, right now, it's a different time. It's a different era, right? And so everything is transactional.
Sure.
And so like I said in the podcast, I want them to get what's theirs. I would like for them to get their money, but I just think there needs to be some structure.
Sure, and I think, a lot of it too is bad advice. I mean, I think a lot of these guys are getting bad advice from some of these agents, and what qualifies them to be an agent sometimes, And again, I hear all sides of this too, and I'm not here to criticize anybody.
Not to cut you off. Is it bad advice?
Right.
Or is it, how can I say, selfish advice?
Sure.
Because think, if I'm the agent, I'm getting a percentage of this.
Correct.
Right?
And that's, I guess, what I'm alluding to.
And so if I can get you a larger transaction, or if I can get you a larger piece of the pie, then my piece becomes what?
Sure.
Evidently larger.
Absolutely.
So instead of me looking what's best for the young man, a lot of times I'm looking at what's best. And I'm saying I'm looking at what's best for him because I'm getting him more money, but at the end of the day, I get a part of that as well.
Right.
Yeah, and so that is the bad advice.
Absolutely, and and you look back, and obviously for somebody that stuck around at that school for 4, 5 years or whatever it is, these guys now transferring every year. You got guys like, and I hate to even use anybody as an example, but let's say like T.J. Finley, right, who's been at 5, 6 schools now in his college career, and it's nothing to, he may have all of his reasons, right, but somebody like that, I mean, when you look back 20 years down the road, when he goes to tell his kids, well, Dad, what was your college? He's going to say, well, I traveled every single year. I went to a different school, and I know that there has to be something said for, I was at Michigan for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, whatever it was, and there is a special bond that you're going to build, with those teachers, with those coaches, with that program, And a lot of these kids aren't going to have that, you know, in 20 years to talk about, right? And so what does that mean to you, being that you were with the program for several years, that some of these kids won't have?
So here's what I'm struggling with now.
Yeah.
I think those days are gone. I really do think those days are gone. I do believe some guys can get the tradition and stick in there for 3 and 4 years, and maybe a guy who transferred to a second school will get that love and that affection of that university and say, hey, I am a true diehard, whatever that logo is, for that 1 year.
Yeah.
But I truly think those days are gone. I really do. So I can't, because when I was coming up through high school and college, you know, I revered the guys who came before me. I looked at them, and because you heard the stories, and you almost wanted to be like them. You want to make them proud. And not only that, like, I just give you a quick story about, you know, Bo always talking about Jamie. And it wasn't the fact that, you know, you heard so much about Jamie, you heard so much about Butch Wolfalk, you heard so much about John Vaughn. It was like when you heard about these guys, and then all of a sudden you saw them in person, it was just like, man,
Right.
those are the guys. And you feel basically, you know, the attitude of gratitude to be held in that regard, but at the same time to wear the jersey.
Right.
Nowadays, these young men don't look at it that way.
Sure.
It doesn't, it's not that they're coming in. Half of the guys have no clue of their predecessor, like the guys that came before them. All they know is, hey, this is a transaction. I want my money. I want to win a national championship, and that's that.
Right.
So those days are gone.
Sure.
And like anything else, if you don't adjust, you're left behind.
Absolutely.
And so therefore, I think those days are gone. And you just have to really just adapt to what's going on, and adapt to what these young men are doing. But that's why, for me, I always say there has to be some restrictions and guidelines, right?
Absolutely.
You just can't open this thing up and just let it be, you know, the wild, wild west.
That's exactly what it is now.
But, you know, I do think those days are gone.
So speaking of the current running back room right now at Michigan, you know, you've got Jordan Marshall, who has returned, okay? You've got Hyder, who's come in as a big recruit. You've got Tatum, who transferred in from Oklahoma. What do you think of that running back room right now?
I think it's really good. It's a balanced room. I think it's a really, really good balanced room. And what I mean by balance is each person offsets each other's talents, right? Really good steady backs, powerful speed, and the guys that I think these guys are coming in now with a better overall sense of football in terms of they're just not just one area, one talented backs. They could play in the passing game. They could pass pro. I mean, these guys are coming out really, really good backs nowadays, and I really like what we have.
Good. And last question I got for you. What are you most excited for with the Kyle Whittingham style of football going forward for Michigan?
Well, the one thing he's, you know, over the 20-some odd years, I think, with 22 years being at Utah, and me firsthand when I was with coaching with Michigan, playing against them, and they handed us that defeat, you saw firsthand the level of intensity that they played with the entire game, and the expectations amongst each other on the field. So it wasn't so much just coming from the coaching staff. You can see the players, the expectation and the standard and the criteria they held each other to. So, you know, and I was having this interesting conversation I was just having with someone, and they were talking about, you know, well, he's not a Michigan man. And I said, Bo wasn't a Michigan man.
Right. A lot of people forget that.
Bo wasn't the Michigan man. But what Bo did was, Bo created what it was and what it meant to be. And it goes back to the standard and the criteria, right? And so I am just excited to see, like we talked about, the toughness, the rugged, the willingness to be, you know, angry and doing things the hard way.
Yes.
And so everybody always talk about Michigan not being flashy, and, well, that's not who we were.
Right.
That's not who we are.
Yeah.
And it's our philosophy. But at the end of the day, I welcome his style and what he's going to bring new to it as well. We also have to be open to that as well.
We got to be willing to adapt.
We got to be willing to adapt, right?
That's
So I'm excited to see what comes in. But also, you asked about just who he is and what he is. Everyone's talking about him as a competitor, as a coach. You know, the Peloton bike, you know, that whole deal. Because a lot of times the team, you often want that team to take on the basically the personality of of the head coach. And you go back to the Bo Schembechler, you go back to Moeller, Lloyd Carr. Those teams took on that personality. And so I think we got a really good guy of a personality that we would like the team to take hold of.
Yeah, I agree, and I think he's going to be somebody that's going to kind of bring back that, like you mentioned, that toughness that we're looking for, and it's nothing to knock on, obviously anything that's gone on recently, and we don't need to dive into any of that, but I think he's going to bring back a level of toughness that we haven't seen in a little while, and I think I'm definitely excited, like the rest of us Michigan fans are, and there's a lot of talent on this team still that people tend to forget. They focus on a lot of the losses that and he's brought in a lot of talent, in the portal. So,
and then one of the things you also have to. And this is just the thought of the culture, was healthy. Because when you retain a lot of players, I mean that culture was healthy.
Yes.
And good teammates, good place, good universities. So a lot of the guys hung around and stayed. So he did a great job of the retention of a good base and good players. And like you said, then he also brought in some other good guys. And I think when you're able to do that, you're bringing in like-minded guys, everybody that's on the same bandwidth. And so when you're on the same bandwidth, it's not hard to get on the same frequency.
Right.
You vibe, you get that vibe, and it meshes really well because you're bringing in a certain individual that has to play, that has to do a certain thing, and we're going to do it a certain way.
Right.
And so I think with that being said, I think it's not going to take long for him to get in and get this thing moving and going right away.
I agree. Well, I appreciate you taking the time today, man.
No, I appreciate
really do.
you.
No
Thank
problem
you.
at all. And go Blue.
Go Blue.